Hi there, I'm Jeremy Shirk with Nebraska Realty, and this is your Realty Rambling. Thanks so much for tuning in. First off, I want to apologize for missing last week. I was sick. It was just a cold, but it would have sounded terrible. Secondly, I just want to thank you all for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, this podcast is a continuation of a series we did on Facebook called Realty Rambling Moments. You can find us on Google, on Apple Play, and on iHeartRadio, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. So I hope that you'll tune into those. This week, we're going to dive into a little bit. I know things are changing day by day, week by week. I hope that we're getting closer and closer to the apex of that curve and things can start to get back to normal. But I want to talk a little bit about what real estate looks like during COVID-19, because there have been some pretty major changes that have been going on, and so I just want to take a chance and address them here. As with all of our videos, if you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll put my contact information in the description below, or you can reach me at jeremyshirk@nebraskarealty.com, and we can answer specific questions to your specific situation. I'm just going to try and give you an overall general image of what the picture looks like for most people right now. So, real quick, let's cover some real estate stats from February and March. Now, you'll want to remember, it seems like it's been so long ago, but we really just started in mid-March having the quarantines and the self-isolation hitting the Omaha area. So these numbers are kind of decent indicators, but they kind of are at the very beginning of the curve. This year, in February, there were 731 homes sold in Sarpy, Douglas, Dodge, Washington, and Cass counties. In March, there were 909 homes. There were 1,232 listings in February and 1,541 new listings in March. And there were a total active number of 1,575 homes currently on the market. Now, how does that compare to 2019? Like we said, in February of 2020, there were 731 homes sold. In February of 2019, there were 630 homes sold. So that's 101 more homes sold in February. But we really didn't start moving into COVID. We were just starting to ramp up to our spring market when this hit. I don't know if you remember, but we were predicting an early spring market, mid-March. Things were starting to move. Lenders were already seeing an influx of borrowing. People were getting excited, ready to ramp up. So in March, 909 homes sold. That's only up from 810 sold in March of 2019. And I think that's because that second week of March, things started to get locked down. There were some changes in the lending market. And people just, I think we're starting to just understand that this virus was going to be something. And we had to start thinking about our decisions a little more intelligently. So I want to get into what the solutions are for real estate in the COVID world, because there are parts of the real estate market that are still really moving. Anything over $250,000, $300,000 is still moving. It's still active. There's still buyers out there. There's still sellers out there. But the way in which buyers are shopping has been a little bit different. There's some new solutions. Fortunately, we live in a virtual world, and there's a lot of good solutions for being able to do this safely without putting yourself or your family at risk. But let's talk about that under 250 crowd first. Financing has changed a little bit. You used to be able to get FHA mortgage down to 620, some lenders all the way down to 600. As a matter of fact, the federal rate was only 585 for credit score, and you could still get pretty decent rates. But with the number of jobs that were temporarily laid off for this COVID virus, last I looked, we were just over 10 million jobs that had been laid off. That's a lot of jobs for the market. That's a huge hit. And secondary mortgage investors have started to back off a little bit. The federal government in their FHA program has started to back off just a little bit. And now they're requiring that if you don't have a credit score better than 640, that you have to buy points down to 3.5% interest rate. What that means is that's like an extra, depending on the loan, that's an extra $10, $15, $20,000 that you have to come up with on top of closing cost. And most of your buyers in that price point don't have that kind of money. And anybody below 620 is really having a hard time getting approved for anything right now. And I think what that is that's an indication of people wanting to see that they're going to have jobs, because the entire borrowing market, especially in that sector, is fueled on job confidence, investor confidence in people being able to pay their bills, which means confidence that they're going to have jobs. We were in a great job market before COVID-19, 2% unemployment in the country. It was a heyday. And I talk about this like it was forever ago, but we're talking, 3 weeks ago. And unfortunately, and I don't want to downplay this because this is terrible, a lot of people have been laid off due to closures for businesses because of how this virus is spreading. But here's the silver lining for that. I don't think that this is a long-term depression. I think that the market was doing really well, jobs were doing really well, and a lot of those businesses that closed, bars, restaurants, movie theaters, shopping centers, places like that, people are going to go back to them. People are going to be desperate to go back to them by the time we're done locking down. So as soon as the government gives the all clear and we are able to get back out into the public and do these things, the shopping, the sporting events, the concerts, all of the stuff that we're not allowed to do right now, people are going to be desperate to get out of their houses. I know I'm going stir crazy. I don't know if you can tell. If you're watching the video, you can probably tell that I'm not doing this from my office. I'm self-isolating at home. And so I think those jobs are all going to come back. I don't think that's a permanent loss. I think the vast majority of those jobs are going to pick right up once we're able to get out. And once people have that employment again, the lenders are going to be more apt to lend because they don't know that you have some job security. And I think that that'll go back to almost the way it was. We may not get back down to, 3% interest rates, but we'll get back into 4, I think. And I think we'll roll on. So I think this is just a short-term blip. So my advice is for people who are probably going FHA, have a credit score somewhere between 600 and 640, people who were thinking they were gonna have to borrow some of the down payment, NYFA clients, things like that. You guys should just wait a month, maybe 2. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot, but take that month. Build on your credit. Talk to your lenders. If you need a good lender recommendation, let me know and I can get you one. Talk to your lenders. See what you need to do to make sure your credit's in place to go right as soon as you can. And just take your time to make sure you're in a good spot. Save up some extra money for that down payment. And then you'll be competitive again. There's going to be a boom. There's going to be a boom probably June if we get out of this. April 30th. May, even mid-May, May 11th, May 15th. Probably sometime in June, I think things will get back on their feet. Now, the asterisk to that is that does depend on where the virus is at. And so if you're staying home and self-isolating, thank you. We really appreciate that because that'll help flatten that curve and get us all back up and going sooner. To all of you essential workers out there, I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Grocery stores, truckers, nurses, doctors, firemen, you have our gratitude. It's a great thing you're doing during this. Now, let's talk to those people who are over 250, 300. If you've still got your credit score and you're above 680, you can get conventional financing. And the higher that credit score, the better your financing can be. And there's some options for you. And that part of the market's still moving. Those buyers, their financing have not been cut off. So if you're looking at selling, you can list your home on the market. Now you're going to say to me, why would I list my home on the market? That means people are going to come in. We've got some really great technological solutions for that. There are a lot of people that are doing what's called Matterport or 3D touring, where they can tour it. We can put it right on your listing and they can go through and walk through it. We have virtual open houses, which are done via video conferencing with the agent. And some of them are set up by appointment. We have video tours, which I've been doing for a while, but now they're doing pretty much commonplace and posting on your link. And there are requirements. There are still some people seeing the house, but by the time they're coming to see your house, we've made sure they've done the virtual tour, they've done the video tour, they have their financing in line, they know the house is a good candidate, we've eliminated the looky-loos, and then we're making appointments where people come through, usually just the people who are signing for the house. So it may be 1 or 2 people. If it's a couple, it'll be the 2 people, a married couple. We're not having people bring their kids through. We're not having mom and dad come check it out. We're not having friends and grandparents and everybody else come through. It is just your buyers that are coming through. And most of your agents, your best agents like myself, are standing at the door with hand sanitizer and a pair of gloves. They're not letting the clients touch things. The agent with gloves are going through and opening things up for them so they can look in. And then we can arrange to have things Lysoled or disinfected, whatever makes you feel comfortable afterwards. But again, we're only letting the people who are genuinely interested, who've already seen the virtual tour and think it's a good home and have the ability to buy it, come through. We're not doing looky-loos anymore. That's just a thing that's not happening right now. It's not advisable. Sorry about the noise. It's actually our lawn guys just showed up. But we're just going to keep pushing through, and I hope that's not too obnoxious for you. Thoughts on the future. I think that we're going to bounce back. I think the market's still moving. Agents are being smarter. But I think this could be good, actually, because it's going to push some of those technologies that people have been a little lazy to implement, like the virtual tours and stuff. It's going to push them back into being normalized. You'll end up, in the long run, with fewer people doing the looky-loo thing because they can do it online. We've already started to move to more of an online presence. We've got DigiSign and .loop and stuff like that, so documents can be signed online. My one asterisk to that is make sure you're still working with an agent who's going to take the time and video conference you, phone call you, get together and talk to you, explain what's in those documents, because they are pretty complicated, and there's a reason that you should have a realtor going through them. It's not as easy as just filling in the blanks and that's it, sign it off and go. You really should know what's in there. You should talk about some of the contingencies and what you're getting. But I think that it's still moving and it's still possible. So that's my thoughts on real estate in the COVID world. I am self-isolating a little bit, trying to stay out there, but we are still running business. So if you have some questions, you can reach out to me. I'm still checking my email. You can give me a call, 402-990-6191, and I'll do what I can to help you in this time. But scary times, but I think that there's a lot of hope in what's still going on, and I think there's a lot of hope in the fact that we're hoping this is a short-term reset, a chance for everybody to take a breather and back off. And that may be good, because if you've been shopping for real estate in the last few years, it's been so crazy that I think it's great that people have been able to take a step back, and maybe some of the buyers can be more competitive now. Well, I'm Jeremy Shirk with Nebraska Realty, and that's your Realty Rambling. I hope it was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in.